Welcome to eXp CultureCast, eXp Realty's official diversity, equity, and inclusion podcast. I'm your host, Cody Gilkison, the visionary leader behind eXp's DEI strategy. I believe that we all have a story to tell, and that's where this show really shines. We are a vibrant tapestry of diverse backgrounds and experiences, and that's our superpower. In each episode, we'll sit down with thought leaders, industry experts, and change makers who are driving meaningful conversations and actions in the realms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. From personal stories of triumph to deep dives into systemic challenges, CultureCast is your compass in navigating the complex landscape of DEI. This is CultureCast, the bi-weekly podcast about what makes us us.
Hey everybody, and welcome. We're doing our One eXp CultureCast. This is season 2, episode 13, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever at eXpcon 2024 in Miami. We're here at the One eXp Lounge. If you're here, come see us. We'll be here all week, but we got a great episode, a packed episode. And here with me today is my partner in crime, Morgan Johnson. Welcome to the show again.
Hello, thank you. I'm the background dancer for Cody. If anyone is ever wondering who I am, that's me.
So her technical title is DEI Communications Coordinator, but you and I know that she does a lot more than that, especially with this show. But so what we've got for you today is a cool retrospective about CultureCast and questions about One eXp that we asked for you guys to submit to us. So we're going to take a trip down memory lane and talk about the past year and a half of doing CultureCast. And we're excited about it.
Super excited.
You want to jump right in?
Yeah. So what was the process of starting CultureCast like for you?
So CultureCast, some people know the story, some people don't, but we used to, when we started the DEI team, we would be putting on new events like every other week or every week. And for these events, they'd be panels or fireside conversations or whatever. And for every event, we were having to come up with an event title and an event graphic, a new, fresh graphic. And we'd have to market it with a new mechanism every single time. And so the thought of CultureCast sort of came up where, what if we could templatize these? Since we're doing these events in the same format every time, they're basically interviews where we have one or more people on, and then we could just have one graphic. We don't have to keep recreating the wheel, and we don't have to keep recreating the wheel with event titles. We could just call it a CultureCast episode, and it sort of caught on, and we've been doing these since June of 2023, and just powering right through it. It was interesting in the beginning because we had to see how we get people engaged, how we get followers. We're still trying to figure that piece out of how we get viewership. But What about you? What do you think starting this up was like?
For me, it was different because coming from a background where I didn't really do what I do, I did maybe some graphics creation maybe 5% of the time of my job. So when I got into it and I finally started doing it, and then we got to CultureCast, I watch a lot of podcasts myself, so I was very, very excited to start. And from day one, I had tons of ideas. We finally got an intro going. We're going to get a better intro than the one I have right now. I mean, I just love starting it. This is something that I never thought I'd be doing anyway. So yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it was really cool. And the thought process behind it originally was kind of, let's see what topics line up with those days, remembrance days or visibility days on the calendar that weren't really widely celebrated. So let's have someone on for National Black Women's Equal Pay Day, right? Or let's get somebody on for LGBTQ Homelessness Day. You know what I mean? So we would hit those, but then over time, what it's developed into is we think it's better to get the guest to tell their story, and it's less about topics and more about people now. And I like that vibe.
Yeah, we slowly evolved to that over time. Like I think we started doing that season 2 is when
Yeah.
we start getting more into people. And for me, that was something that I know podcasts already do. They obviously, they're talking about the person that's there. So the first time I realized we were going to start rebranding and start like just doing this bigger than what it is right now, I was like, I think I'm going to start asking people in the beginning because I'm the person that kind of formulates the questions and Cody approves them. I'm like, I think I want to ask people about themselves. So I started forming the questions that way. Cody loved it. Our first episode that we did that went amazing. And yeah, I mean, we're just only going up from here, honestly.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, and the way that we sort of thought about it is if we're having somebody on the show like Leo Pareja, right, that we had on the show, we had originally formatted that as an episode about Hispanic Heritage Month. But I think people are much less interested in listening to a podcast about Hispanic Heritage Month than they are listening to a podcast about Leo.
Right.
That was the culture shift there.
Yeah.
And we've got the new rebrand. We were just EXP CultureCast. Now we're the One EXP CultureCast. We're the official podcast of One EXP is the easiest way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that rebrand, especially with our new logos. We're sitting here in front of this beautiful step and repeat that's here at the One EXP Lounge. You can come take a photo with this, but our new resource groups all have beautiful new logos.
Mm-hmm.
And the new One EXP logo that's right underneath my photo here is just gorgeous. We love it.
Yeah, so, you're here. Come grab a button.
Come grab a button. We got a button for all of our resource groups. Yeah. So let's talk about episode 1. Episode 1, we brought in an outside special guest. We had Jacob Jennings on talking about LGBTQ plus homelessness. So we really, in my view, we wanted to not pull any punches and talk about topics that were really hard hitting that you don't really usually hear about in an official company podcast. And we really wanted to talk about tough issues that sometimes fall under the radar and have tough conversations and shine a light on those sort of issues. So that episode to me was so, it was powerful, but at the same time, I was so nervous making that first episode.
I remember that one was it's kind of was sensitive for you a little bit in a way.
Yeah.
Because of your own story.
Yeah. With my own story. I'd tell people go back and listen to that first podcast. You'll see clearly the market difference between what it was at the beginning and what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
But also, that's probably the first episode we thought before I can be out here interviewing these people, we need to let people in a little bit on my story so they have the background. So I tell more of my story in that episode than typical. Usually we're talking about the story of the guest.
Yeah.
So that's a really good one. And then fast forward 2 episodes, episode 3, the debut of Morgan.
That was probably, I'm going to admit it right now, probably the worst live episode I ever did, in my personal opinion. Because one, I came from a position where I was just in the background. I never had to be forward. My face, my voice, I was just an avatar. That's all I was. So coming into it, being on camera for the first time, it was nerve-wracking. And I mean, I'm just starting working with Cody, so I'm like, my boss is asking me to do it, I'm gonna do it, but it's not gonna be good.
Yeah. I mean, it was a good episode. Yeah. I think it was a good episode.
Yeah.
It's on it's one of those months that falls under the radar, but it's, probably the one that I'll always every year want to shine a highlight on. The episode was about Minority Mental Health Month.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so important because we have so many underrepresented communities who all share a common thread of not taking care of their mental health the right way, right? Everybody's got their own baggage and stigma around mental health, and so we're always going to talk about Minority Mental Health Month.
1,000%. Yeah. And that was where I got to tell somewhat of my story, being raised by a single Black mother who didn't recognize that, she's not applying herself, she's just lazy, that's what she's thinking, but come to find out I have ADHD, so there's that. So yeah.
And we're live here at eXpcon, so if the music is loud in the background, I apologize. Yeah. This is the first time we're trying something like this, so maybe we'll figure something out next year, but bear with us. We're going to try to get through an episode right
100%.
So then I think episode 4, right after that, we got into what we were talking about, National Black Women's Equal Pay Day. We did an episode about the wage gap, and we had, oh my gosh, such good guests with such
Powerful
good,
women.
impactful, like, commentary about this, right? We
Mhm.
more than scratched the surface. We really dug into the wage gap on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
And
that episode.
yeah, so if we're talking about like the episodes that were fun to make for me, that was definitely one that was fun to make.
Yeah, that was
Erin
fun.
Holman, I've known her since I was 19. I've hopped real estate companies with this woman. She's my mentor. My mom plays around and says she's my work mom. She's just a powerful woman in the industry, and
a powerful ally.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
It doesn't matter what group you're in.
Big shout out to Erin.
Yeah, Erin Holman for sure. And then we had Jennifer, was it?
Yeah.
Now that woman is powerful in her own right.
Yeah.
She's I think she's a leader for One Professionals, a state leader. Just her insight was just amazing to me as a Black woman in the industry, like what it's like to get paid versus so we had to compare and contrast of like white women, Black women, what it's like, and come to find out we're just really in the middle of the whole, like, just women in general.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that was one of my favorite. If we were to skip questions and say what was my favorite, that was my favorite.
Yeah. And that was right at, that was right at a turning point too, where we were sort of missing an impactful women's resource group. Now we've got Women's Impact Network, but that was one where we were shining a light for the company that, hey, we have to be talking about this. And that's one of the things we want CultureCast to be able to do, is to show our company what's important to our agents. And this is a topic that came up. This was our first requested topic, actually. So that, that episode really sticks with me too.
Yeah. And I mean, I took a lot away from that conversation, but I think at a young age, I was already exposed to what the wage gap was.
Yeah.
So I already knew, being a Black woman in any industry, I was already going to face some sort of discrimination. But not only am I a woman, I'm Black as well. So I mean, that just really added to it. So yeah, that was a great episode to learn how they both persevered through all of that adversity. It was great.
Yeah. And I mean, talking about not just wage gap, but the glass ceiling, you know what I mean? So even if you do get paid equitably, there is a point where we can't see, a big old queer guy or, a Black woman going higher than this on the corporate ladder, and how we fight against those stigmas. I actually think EXP is a company where we really actually don't have a lot of those glass ceilings.
Yeah, I haven't seen them here.
I thoroughly believe that if I, put in the work, I can get where I want to get
100%.
in my career here. And I believe that for anybody here. I think your background really doesn't have an impact. They really legitimately are looking for the best person for the job.
Yep, that's it. And that's rare.
It actually is rare.
Very rare.
I think about working here, the people who've come through our company in major leadership roles. We've had so many people of color and so many Latin people in particularly,
100%.
and so many queer people that I can relate to and look up to. And I think it's a great, I don't know, I love our company.
Yeah, and then, Leo Pareja, wasn't there a thing that he's the first Latino CEO of a real estate company or like that? So like,
yeah, he is.
Yeah, we're out here breaking boundaries.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're walking the walk, and I love that about us.
Yeah.
So let's talk about episodes that were particularly fun to make. You mentioned that wage gap episode. I love that one. I'll go and say that in those early days when it was just us, after we had the initial episode with Jacob Jennings, then the next two episodes were me and my team, right?
Yep.
So we could cut loose and do what we wanted to and edit around it. And like, those were fun to do. And it's cool to me to give people a platform to tell their story. And that was like something that, I mean, I hired both of you for the sole reason of like, I legitimately love everything about your background, and I think people should hear more about you. So getting able to shine a spotlight on that was really cool for me. I had a lot of fun filming with you and with Stephanie.
Yeah, it was great those early days, especially like, even though I felt like it was the most trash episode I've ever made and I was nervous, I think I actually got to tell my story at this company for the first time. And that's when I realized, like, I might be where I belong, low-key, because, like, this is fun for me to do. Like, finally speaking out, like, finally having these conversations with my family, like, this is what I was going through growing up, and no one really knew. So, yeah, definitely check out our last episodes where we talk about ourselves. The first one for Cody was the homelessness one. It gives us a little bit of his background, and then mine is number 3, CultureCast episode 3.
Yeah, those were great.
Yeah.
And then I also, for me, I'm a guy. I sound like a broken record, but I'm a guy that identifies as gay. I'm a married guy, and doing episodes with sort of gay family that's always fun for me, and being able to have Gene Break was fantastic.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That one was a little more hard hitting, but as far as fun ones go, I love filming with Patrick Lynch. Patrick Lynch is an agent here at EXP and also sits on the board and NAR, was impactful in making some major culture shifts at NAR. So it's really fun to talk to him. We have a lot of fun when we talk. Also, Holly Kitchens.
Yeah.
Like, her podcast is so fire.
Yeah.
So to have her on mine as a guest was like a cool role reversal for her, and being able to dig into her background. She's got one of the most interesting stories, and she has met so many cool people in her career.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, I really enjoyed filming with Holly, so that was another really fun one.
Yeah, so for me, my last one, well, actually I got 2. I put 1, but I have 2. Lauren Coleman, when I first started here at EXP, I didn't really know like what the culture was. I started out as an admin, so I think like day 3 of me being hired, or it might have been a week into me being hired, she became a I forget her title, but she became something in leadership. She was just like and I saw a Black woman being elevated that soon was majorly impactful for me, because at other real estate companies I went to, you didn't see Black women being recognized. You didn't see Black women on any leadership scale. They wouldn't even get considered. But when I came here to EXP to see that, I was like, I feel comfortable here. Like, this is somewhere I feel like I belong, because no matter what I do, I feel like I can move up. Yeah. Because there's certain companies you get there and you're like, wow, yeah, this is about it. Yeah.
And that's, there's a couple of Black women at this company who I consider like, there's really something to look up to for everybody. Yeah, and 100%. I specifically would call out Lauren Coleman and call out Kendall Bonner.
100%.
And I I don't know, I look up to them so much. And they have that sort of soft strength, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I know that they're out here getting stuff done, but they're also among the most approachable people I've ever met.
They really are. Like, if they see you, like, oh, hi, Morgan. I'm like, oh my God, hi. I was telling Lauren when I first talked to her after the CultureCast episode, I'm like, I'm such a fangirl of yours, like low-key super fangirl, because you were the first woman that I saw get moved to a leadership position when I started here at EXP, and you made me feel like I can belong here. I can do great things here. That's the only way. Only way.
And there's been a few times in my career at EXP where I've said, oh my God, that was such a good choice when they hire someone into a role.
Yeah,
and Kendall moving into this role, I saw
perfect.
that and I was like, they couldn't have picked someone better. You know what I mean? Like, this is exactly who I would have chosen.
Yeah.
So good.
Her episode was also one of those ones for me that was fun to make, because learning her background, how close she is with her grandmother, like all of that stuff. I'm very, very, very close with my grandma. So like, to learn her story, it's always nice to know that your story aligns with someone else's. And the way that her and her grandma interacted, it just reminded me of mine. So yeah, that was fun for me.
Yeah. And hey, hi Shannon.
Hey.
We're filming an episode of the CultureCast Live.
Yeah.
You want to come?
Come on in and say
Shannon.
hello.
This is Shannon Vrabel.
Hi everybody.
She's over sponsorship, so she's running it big here at eXpcon.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you.
So our next one, what episodes were poignant or taught us something?
You know, I I go back to this one a lot because we wanted to have Nicole Theodore on the show,
1,000%, yeah.
and I didn't know the heat that she was bringing with her topic and her level of knowledge she had about it. But that episode about data bias,
Fire. I didn't even know what that was.
I didn't even know. Like, I knew the abstract concept, but I could not have anticipated how much I learned in that moment from someone who I consider like a peer, a friend that I really did not know was this encyclopedia of this really powerful topic that she shined a light on in such a really great way. Anyway, I think that's the episode by a long shot that I learned the most from.
100%. And you know, you'll talk to Nicole, and like she's like, I've known Nicole ever since I started. She was my trainer, so I mean, we'll have funny conversations, but when she gets into it, anything that she's passionate about, you're like, bro, keep talking to me, please, because you know so much.
Yeah,
it makes me feel like I don't know anything.
It's so funny to go from like, oh, let's kiki friends to like, wait, I need a notebook.
Right. Please spit that fire knowledge, because of course. But so shout out to Nicole. She couldn't be here, but we're missing you for sure.
Yeah, we're missing you for sure. Nicole also is co-chair of the Healthy Mind Collective.
She is.
She's all about mental health. She knows all that stuff. She's a good person to have in your Rolodex.
Super. Nicole Theodore.
Yeah.
One for me was I think I would say two. We had ageism with Eve Hill.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then we had age tech with Heather Brooks. So for me, like learning about aging in place is something that I think I just learned when I got here, to be honest with you. Like I wasn't thinking about, my family getting older because my grandma's getting a little bit older. I didn't know that there was so much preparation you can do to get like a home ready for them to live in for the rest of their lives, pretty much. So,
yeah, right. I mean, and that's one of those things that we're always talking about content that is impactful for both our agents and our staff. And that one really, it is, I mean, it doesn't look on the surface like it would be, but it really is. All of us are going to age. All of us are going to have parents who are aging. We are living longer, you know what I mean? And, for me, I didn't even realize with that age tech conversation, like I already know a lot of this stuff about aging in place because my dad is a quadriplegic. I've shared that before. So I know what it means to have an accessible house, and all that stuff translates. When we were building the interactive senior home, we kept talking about like this. We're describing my dad's house.
Pretty much,
So it's something I didn't know I knew this.
Exactly. But, as my grandmother gets older and then, as my mom was purchasing her home, like there's a lot of things I was like, hey, make sure that we have this in her room. Make sure we have that. Because she's still super independent at 86, but I know eventually, she's going to definitely need to be with either one of us. So I'm even preparing my home for her to age in place in because, I mean, you just never know what's going to happen or what you're going to need at your house.
Yeah.
So like learning all of that from both of them, they're a wealth of knowledge. And if you meet Heather Brooks, if you're here at eXpcon, I think she's coming. I don't know what day the Seniors Network
is Tuesday. Tuesday they'll have a lounge takeover, and she's going to teach a little seniors mastermind in the back over here. So.
And she's a wealth of senior knowledge, and she will not stop. But it's all good information for anyone.
What I would recommend to you going into a mastermind or a conversation with Heather Brooks is have a specific question because she has a specific answer for
100%.
you. She will the answer that you Google and cannot find a straight answer on. She knows it.
Yep,
right?
and she's going to give you a solid answer.
And she will give you an absolutely rock solid answer. But I want to that ageism one with Eve Hill. We've never had a guest come in more prepared. Like that. That period. Eve Hill is such a wealth of knowledge, but she's also somebody that's a real preparer. And she came in, I said, we're going to do an episode on ageism. Here are the questions. And she came in with something like 36 pages.
Like she was ready to go.
She knew what she was doing. And all that stuff came straight from her head. She's not out here chat GPTing.
No.
She's
I mean, both of them. They'll talk to you days about the senior market.
Sure. They're so good. I also think that Power of Kindness episode that we had with Jessica Nieto was really, really, really powerful for me. Because I think anybody that knows or has met Jessica Nieto, or if you haven't, I'm going to give you the scoop. This is someone who is a bottomless pit of happiness and kindness and is able to find common ground with literally anybody and can approach something from a firm middle ground that gets both sides of a situation to understand each other. Like, those are the things that I love about Jessica, and her being able to pour some of that knowledge onto our, viewership was just I'm so happy we got to do that.
Yeah, 100%. And she's also another person who's a wealth of knowledge in any topic you throw at her. Yeah. And if she doesn't know the answer, she's going to get you an answer, which is very rare. That doesn't really happen that often with Jessica. She knows a lot.
Yeah.
I know another one was with Annie Pellegrini. Love me some Annie Pellegrini. Yeah, she's great. She just joined our team.
She just joined our team. Hey, breaking news. Annie Pellegrini and Extend a Hand are part of the sustainability department now. So we're going to be working with Annie and Extend a Hand a lot more. And it really speaks to, from my background, I did a lot of this DEI work as a volunteer. And to me, the best way to grow engagement in a group is through charitable work, through volunteer work, because it doesn't cost us any money to ask our membership to volunteer.
Exactly.
And they also walk away from it feeling like I did something good, so that's really engaging. At my old job, we would do this thing called Holiday Angels, where we would put together these clear plastic shoebox sized containers that we get from the Dollar Tree and fill them up with basically a Christmas gift, something to keep warm, something, a piece of some candy, a scarf or something, and put it in these boxes, and we'd give them out to the local homeless. And it was particularly for LGBTQ homeless. But at my office, we were in an office setting with 800 people, taking the card around and asking people to throw something in for a donation, and, asking teams to build us a box, see how many boxes you can build us. People were so engaged in that. Way more than come and learn how to further your career. It was so engaging.
It's something about giving back, though.
It's something about giving back.
Yeah.
And we're really, really excited to see where eXp's partnership with Extend a Hand is going to go in 2025.
Yeah.
So it's looking forward to another question we're going to talk about later. What do we want eXp to be in the future? That's, I think, connecting our charitable element is going to be so big for us in 2025.
Yeah, for sure. And charity has a big part in my life, because my church, during these times, we give away blankets, we give away socks and blankets. That's our main thing. And we'll drive to the homeless communities and just pass them out to them. And they're so grateful and so thankful. So, yeah, charity is big on my list. I love being charitable, 100%.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, 100%. We love it. So, episodes that were particularly emotional to make.
Yeah, for sure.
We got 2 seasons and a few episodes in before it happened and the dam broke and Cody was but that was the episode with Deanna Dobflop and the Military Network. It was an episode that was scattered sort of broadly about the Military Network.
Yep.
But Deanna's story and the way that our Military Network, I will say this till I'm blue in the face, we have a really, really diverse set of resource groups.
We do.
The one that will accept you with the open arms the quickest, and it might surprise a lot of people, is the Military Network. I showed up to my first Military Network in-person event at Shareholder Summit a while back, and at that time I had painted nails and my hair was blue, and I was looking real gay, right? So I walk into that thing and I sit at a table by myself because I didn't know anybody, and I didn't, I'm a little timid, with that crowd, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I knew the Military
sure.
Network, I knew Deanna, but everybody I knew from the Military Network was getting ready to go on stage.
Yeah.
So I didn't know the membership. I sat down at that table, and it was maybe 40, 45 seconds before it was filled with people who were genuinely interested in learning more about me.
Yeah.
And that was it really set the tone for, this is a group of people that are so welcoming and open to other people. And we sometimes see that Military Network as being something that's kind of closed off and for a specific group of people and not for outsiders. But that's a group that really thrives on allies and allyship. relationship, and they they own that. They're so good at that.
Yeah, they're very accepting and kind. I remember last eXpcon when we went to the was it a lunch or was it it was a breakfast?
Yeah.
The military breakfast. I just felt like everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, do you want to get in front of me if you're just going to get that?" Like, super kind, and I was not expecting it at all.
Yeah. I love the military network.
Yeah, 1000%. And I know there was one episode that was particularly kind of hit a little close to home for you.
Yeah.
For emotions.
Yeah, you're talking about Gene Brake, right?
Yeah.
So Gene and if anybody that knows Gene Brake is a very opinionated human being who, underneath that exterior where Gene is going to advocate for what is right loudly at the front of the room, I knew that underneath that was a wealth of knowledge from a generation that really doesn't have a lot of voices that are still around.
Correct, yeah.
So when we had him on for an episode about the AIDS epidemic, the guy, he lived through it. He experienced it. He was there on the front lines. He knows some of the people. Like when I'm a big queer history buff, and I'm talking about people that he knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a really, God, I'll be honest with you, that's the only episode that I've gone back to and listened to more than twice.
Yeah, and I think that was the one, because I'm always in the background with these podcast episodes, but that was the one where Cody didn't really have to ask much. It was just, he was a wealth of knowledge. And yeah, his episode was emotional, obviously, but it was a good one for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one. I have a lot to say about a lot of topics, but I actually really do know my stuff on queer history. So it was a cool moment to get to share that with folks. And you can see a little bit of that expertise come through in the Pride history experience, but hearing it from our voices, from mine and Gene's voices, I knew that was going to be an episode that stood the test of time.
100%. Yeah, I love that episode.
And then, Reggie.
We love Reggie.
The military network. I could listen to him read the phone book. What I mean? He's such an impactful speaker.
He is.
Yeah.
And when he speaks, it's just like you can't not listen to what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like, because
he's an attention grabber.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like I said, I'm in the background for the majority of these episodes, and I was paying attention. Like, I was like, wow, like glued to the screen.
Yeah. He's one of those guests, you'll see from time to time, if you spot the little parts of the episode where I'm glancing over to the questions to see what's going on next, like I was glued to Reggie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was listening, and then he would like, let me get the next
we're doing an episode. I'm not just,
Right. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
One for me was the domestic violence episode with Rizwana.
Oh,
that one was that's powerful. I haven't, I guess, not really. I've dealt with domestic violence on as growing up, but it wasn't, in my opinion, it wasn't considered domestic violence, or it might have not to others, but I've seen things like that for sure.
Yeah.
Just watching it, and it was kind of powerful to see what is being done for victims of domestic violence, like shelters, protection, and stuff like that. I watch a lot of documentaries about crime, and the majority of the crimes deal with domestic violence in the relationship in the beginning.
Right.
And that's a very serious topic that I think the world needs to take more seriously. Because, man.
Yeah. I mean, it affects women, it affects men, it affects everybody.
Yeah.
And Riz is another one of those where this is someone who really knows what she's talking about on the topic. She runs a nonprofit about this.
Yeah.
So it's like, she's another person I could listen to read the phone book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Riz talks, and it's like you need to be listening.
100%.
She's that kind of person.
Yeah, 100%.
You would benefit greatly.
Yeah.
Paid close attention to Riz when she speaks.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things I didn't know because, again, like I said, at the time, I didn't know what domestic violence was, obviously, because I was just a child. But when you look back, you're like, the way that she describes it, she described what it was step by step. And I'm like, oh, man, I did not experience it personally, but I witnessed it. And that was Riz's story. She witnessed it. Her friends were going through it. Her family was going through it. And for me, it was friends, and sometimes family at some point, you know what I mean? So, and I just didn't get it until I saw her episode, or I was in the background for her episode. Yeah, that was a good one. So what episodes made you particularly nervous? And I already know one that made you nervous.
There's one at the very top of that pile.
You were like,
so I fangirl over a lot of people at EXP, but I have followed the career of Peggy Pelosi. And when she joined our board of directors, I was like, man, this is a shoot for the moon stretch goal. I would love to have her on the podcast.
Yeah.
And when I asked if she'd be interested and she gave an enthusiastic yes, I was like, I can't believe, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And now we're tied closer to Peggy because Peggy knows Donald, who's our new boss, you know, so now we've got that connection with Peggy, but she's, somebody who's been doing ESG work for a while, somebody who really knows it from its foundation.
Yep.
And Peggy Pelosi is so cool. If you don't know Peggy Pelosi, please go listen to that episode. Please, I'm begging you.
Yeah, and I remember like leading up to the episode, every meeting Cody and I would have, at least just in general, he's like, "Oh my God, we're gonna meet with Peggy. Oh my God, we're doing an episode with Peggy. Oh my God," and I'd be like, "Yeah."
I was legit shook. I was shook up. Like, I cannot mess this up. I cannot. Like, I was like, this could be the end of the CultureCast.
Yeah.
On the board of directors.
Yeah, and I know when we were because obviously when we start these, it's just me and him like it is now. And he was like fixing his hair, fixing his shirt, and I'm like, Cody, you look great. Like, please.
But Peggy could not have been more down to earth, and
she was very nice
and modest and humble. And for somebody, and it just, I'm just going to throw this out there. Period, a fashion icon.
Oh yeah, very demure.
Girl, very demure. Yeah. That episode is I need to go back and listen to it because I fully blacked out. Like, I don't remember the episode.
No, it was almost like you wanted to be like this and be like, oh my God. I was just in the background like, oh my God, come on, Cody. Snap out of it.
Yeah. But after Peggy, it was very much like we can do anything.
Oh yeah,
right?
1000%.
I say that, and then we had Leo on.
That one would make me nervous. Like, I put on a shirt. Like, normally when we do these, I'm in the background, so I don't really need to get dressed up from the waist up.
Yeah.
But for this one, I put on a turtleneck. I wanted to look like Steve Jobs fashion.
And you like worked on those questions.
Oh yeah, that one. I went into his I found every single bio for him, and I literally just pieced them out, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna get some good hard hitting questions. So Cody looks good. That's what I try to do. I try to make sure that CultureCast looks good, Cody looks good, so we look good. Yeah. And that's when we started actually focusing on people.
Yeah, he was the first one.
Yeah.
That was the culture shift there.
Yep.
But Leo also is somebody that you could ask him a question that's 4 words and he can run with it. Like Leo knows how he's got that commanding presence and can be really engaging when he gives you his answer, and it's in specific detail. It's not this vagary that we hear from speakers a lot. Like, he's one of the best speakers I've ever heard. Right?
I would have to say that was another one where I was in the background like, wow, his story is actually in my mind
crazy.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
The stuff that he went through just blows my mind.
Yeah. So listen to the episode with Leo. Go back and listen to the first episode of Leo's podcast.
Yeah.
It's about his story. He goes a little more in depth there. It's important for us to know who our CEO is. And I'm telling you, our CEO is cool.
And not to mention I'm going to keep saying this, the first Latino CEO of a real estate company.
Yeah, right.
That's a powerful.
That's powerful. That's a powerful statement.
And then I think the next one for me that made me nervous was the Kendall one.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, Black women in leadership. Oh, I fangirl over them all the time because, eventually I do see myself in a leadership position, and I imagine how would I look to someone who is in my position when I'm up there, and how humble and sweet and kind Kendall is something that I hope to be when I get in that position. because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get the big head and start acting like I'm better than everyone. I want to be down to earth and genuine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Kendall is. So I mean,
out the gate, we sort of hit Kendall with the hard stuff
100%.
because it was like she was brand new into this job, and brand new into this job, we were like, let's talk about the wage gap specifically for Black women. What can we do better? And it's, you know, you should be afraid to talk about that. First couple weeks doing your job, but she was like, "No, I'm cool with it." And killed the episode.
And that's
so
one
friendly, you know.
She is.
And like, but I don't know.
But that's one where we were like, okay, do we give her hard hitting? This is what you were asking me.
Yeah.
Like, do we give her hard hitting questions? And I'm like, that's why we made this. We made this CultureCast, to like hit home, and we shouldn't worry about her image. If she said it's good, then obviously she doesn't care about image or any of that. And that's what I want to be eventually. I don't want to care about my image or any of that.
And we really wanted CultureCast to stand out.
Right.
I mean, everybody that we have on episodes, really, they do a lot of appearances.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to ask questions that they're not getting asked every day.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So then let's go. Let's talk about the one episode. So the Hispanic Heritage Month episode, the first one we did, we were expecting one guest and we got 3.
Yeah. And that was the one where like, oh, we're gonna add this person. I'm like, okay, so I'm like changing the image. They're like, oh, we're gonna add this person. I'm like, okay, let me just do this real quick. And that was the first one where I met eXp Latino, and I was like, oh, they're coming in busting.
That's it. I tell everybody, but the thing about eXp Latino is they will bring it every time. And when I say bring it, they're bringing all of it.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Right? Like we give them 10 minutes on stage. They're like, cool, I've got 16 guest speakers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's just the way they are. And you got to be ready to meet that fire or you're going to burn to a crisp. So that was a real test, you know?
Definitely was.
But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So let's get into some of these questions that we got from our survey. So somebody asked, how is 1EXP different from other companies' ERG programs?
For me, I've worked at 3 different real estate companies. And the one company where we did have ERGs, it was maybe one group, and it I don't even remember what it was, but it wasn't like based like we have ours, like for cultural backgrounds. It was like have fun at work ERG type situation. So
like an employee engagement type.
Yeah, something like that. So this is the first time I've been in a situation where we have actual cultural groups. So we're definitely 100%
Hey, different. Special guest.
Hey,
come here, look. We got Keith Everett, former co-chair of the Climate Action Network.
Come this way. No, right here.
Look at that. This is what happens when you...
Yeah. We're doing a live CultureCast episode right now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're answering questions from the survey that we put out, and somebody asked, how is 1EXP different from other companies' resource group programs?
What would you say?
I'd say I've never been in a company with another program like this, so I wouldn't be able to tell you what's different.
Yeah.
I mean, what you guys do is amazing. When you get on the group calls with all the other leaders from all the other groups and the synergies that happen, the conversations and relationships, it's like meeting Eden, 3 years ago, and that's going to be on stage. I mean, some great relationships are built out of it.
Yeah, we're shaking and moving for sure.
We're moving and shaking.
We'll see you soon.
Cool, yeah.
See you soon.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Yeah, so I think for me, the big difference, I've been at companies with employee resource groups, but nobody has the stable that we have of choices. Like at the last company I worked at, we had a cultural resource group that was for people of all different racial backgrounds. Just one group for everybody. And here we're really, split out, and we've got something for everybody. Oh my God. Come here. We got Jessica Nieto walking up. We got the agent chair of 1EXP coming in here.
Sure.
She's saying her hellos. But that's where I think it drives me is we have groups for everybody, and something specific that we have that other people don't have is this foundations program where anybody can come up with idea for a resource group.
Are you on a Zoom meeting?
We're doing a CultureCast live right now. Look at this. Jessica Nieto. So
guys.
the question from the audience was, how is 1EXP different from other companies' resource groups?
Woo! The energy in the relationships here is unmatched.
Yeah.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm coming out of the general session room, so it's really running through now. But the fact that they've given us the platform and not just permission, but the actual support and the love and the shared vision and values, like in what we're looking to accomplish,
For sure.
I think that's something that you hear about this type of thing, but and especially the way that everything is so robust, like and so inclusive of everyone. So it's not like, oh, you identify with this group, go hang out there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, no, come learn what we're doing, and let's see how we can all help each other. So
Exactly.
I love these two. I want to get on the show. Oh my gosh, appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
Jessica.
We'll see you soon.
So then the next question we got was, how do I get involved in 1EXP?
I mean, really, you just got to show up and show out at the end of the day. One of the things you can really do is you can go to our workplace page, 1EXP, and at the very top, we have an interactive slideshow, if you will.
Yeah, there's a pin post.
Yeah, so it's a pin post, and you just click on that. You'll be guided to every group, and then you'll also see the leadership in that group.
Yeah, a lot of people miss out. The last slide on that deck has the current leadership of all the resource groups. So if you want to get more involved than just say, we're gonna swap around here because Morgan's computer just died, but we're changing the format a little. Watch out.
For
Look
sure.
at us. Live and in color.
Yep.
So what with that, if you want to get more involved than just joining the resource group, all you got to do is go to that last slide and find out who the leaders of those groups are, and just plug in with those leaders. And that is a direct way where you can get in contact with the real people who are leading the show.
For sure. Yeah.
What's our next question?
Our next question is, who do you think is 1EXP's greatest success story? And when we were talking about this earlier, I think we both had an agreement on who it was for us. And it's Cameron Cisneros for the book.
Yeah, it's Cameron Cisneros.
Yeah.
Cameron, if you're watching this, I hope you're watching this. Cameron is what she has done with the platform that was given to her. We tell people all the time, you get back what you put in
100%.
to 1EXP. That really is it.
100%.
And she has put in so much. Like at the beginning of this year, the Pride Network, she's co-chair of the Pride Network, was at 990 members. And she hit a stretch goal. She said, I'm going to make it to 10,000. And I was like, good luck with that.
Yeah, we both were like, yeah, okay.
None of our resource groups have ever hit that threshold, and they just hit it this month.
Yeah, they did.
Pride Networks are now our largest resource group by head and shoulders, by quite a lot. And the way that she's made engaging programming and been able to connect with people. And I don't know anybody that dislikes Cameron. I don't know anybody that's got beef with Cameron.
Yeah.
She's somebody that has taken the reins and really made a name for herself.
Yeah.
I mean, and been able to do so as a staff member.
Exactly.
At EXP.
Yeah, 100%.
So
hey.
Come here.
We're doing a live episode.
More special guest. Lauren Coleman is here. We were just talking about Lauren Coleman.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool that you're doing it live. We're having a great time here at EXP. So I'm trying to get make sure I'm looking right. There we go.
Yeah, you go.
Love you, Morgan. So welcome. If you haven't come, especially if you're here and you haven't come to the 1EXP Lounge, you definitely want to come on out, mix and mingle. Yeah, it's a great time.
Come lounge with us.
Right.
All right. So what's our next question? Oh, no. I've got one more. We can't leave this at just Cameron. There's somebody else that we have to mention, and that is Eden Jeffrey.
Oh, 100%.
Eden stepped into her truth as the leading voice, the chair of the Young Professionals Network. And you talk about a group that is thriving. Oh. It is thriving. Baby.
And yeah, with the events that they have, with the leadership team they put together, like that's a group that's a business in my eyes.
Yeah.
Like they run like a well-oiled machine for sure.
Yeah, they run so well, and it's a group that it's at any company, the resource group that's dedicated to young people, it's always a tricky balance because they there's a maturity level thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Eden comes at this with a level of maturity and a willingness to learn and hear a different side
Yep.
that is really profound for
Mhm.
someone in her age bracket. And she's someone that I am happy to call a friend.
Yep.
It's somebody that I consider that I have poured a lot of mentorship into, and I feel like I've gotten just as much back out of that relationship.
For
as I put
sure.
in, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure. Aaron, you got to get in on this.
What?
Come here. We're
This
doing
is my
CultureCast Live.
Aaron.
There's Aaron Holman. We were just talking about Aaron Holman.
Yeah, for sure.
I love this woman.
It's mutual, for sure.
It's
love this
mutual.
guy.
Oh yeah. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
So what else we got from the
All right,
audience?
for the next one we have, what does one EXP need to take it to the next level? And I got, hey Rachel.
Hey, look, come in here. Come in
We
here.
got all the
We're
guests
filming
today.
CultureCast Live right now. We got
Oh.
Rachel Allen.
Hey,
This
I
is
had
our
no idea.
chair of the Black EXP network. We got Benji right above her, isn't that?
Right there.
This is live, y'all.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about who's the biggest success stories out of one EXP,
You got to give some credit.
Rachel might
Gotta
be
give Rachel some
2025.
credit.
She's
For
got
sure.
the goods
Yeah,
to
for
show us
sure.
next year what can be done with a spot. So
1,000%.
yeah.
And I was telling Cody yesterday, I was like, I don't know why I thought you were going to be mean in real life, but you're really sweet. Yeah.
you're so sweet.
Yeah, you're so sweet.
We're so glad to have you.
Yeah, for sure.
We got all the we're bringing the
The
fire in here.
hitters.
The heavy hitters are coming
Yeah,
to the
but
booth.
we're doing a live podcast right now. Y'all know how big.
Look at that.
Anita
CultureCast Live.
Legacy Blue.
Anita Legacy Blue is here.
Yeah.
Look at that. The national president of the LGBTQ plus Real Estate Alliance.
Yeah.
Immediate past present.
Yeah.
But I mean, she killed it. She killed it with that. We were just talking about people that choices were made for leadership that we were like, damn, that was a good
Yeah.
pick. That was, I told Anita right after she got picked, I was like, that's the best choice they could have made.
Yeah, for sure.
That,
For sure. Hands down.
but now Anita's with us here.
Yeah.
She's doing a lot of work with the Pride Network.
Mhm.
We'll be on a panel together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Breaking barriers. I think I'm breaking barriers.
I got
I'm
a
on with Mark Anthony Ball.
Oh, Mark.
Oh,
Yeah,
Mark
Mark.
Anthony.
So yes, I'm so excited about that.
Yeah.
Opportunity that
Yeah, yeah.
I present, for one EXP and also for Pride Network. So just thank you so much for y'all's hospitality. It's
Of
been nothing
course.
but love since I came here.
Yeah.
I'm so excited, and that means a lot to us who've been marginalized for a long time.
100%.
That's absolutely right.
Protecting who we are, trying not to be so out there, but EXP, that is not the case. You can be who you are. They welcome that, and they represent that very well. So
Really
I'd like to say
do.
kudos to EXP for this, one EXP, and I just love EXP. So y'all look for somebody to come be with.
Yeah.
I need a legacy.
Oh, I need a Legacy Blue.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping by.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all. Have a great conference.
Thank you,
of course,
thank you.
Of course, of course.
All right. We're running low on battery and we're running low on stream time. So what else we got for questions?
All right.
We had what does one EXP need to take it to the next level? I'm telling you, what we need is to take it to the next level is you.
Yeah, 1,000%.
You and all those volunteers out there, those people that want to get involved in these groups, don't hesitate. Raise your hand. You could be the next one of these people that we love that's
Yeah.
walking up to this booth.
Yeah.
Right at this event, this is me up on my soapbox. We have 34 events for one EXP at
Mhm.
eXpcon, and we're featuring 70 guest speakers
Yep.
that are HP agents that are involved in one EXP, and more than 2/3 of those, this is their first time getting to speak on stage at eXpcon. You know how big of exposure that is to
Super
get?
big.
And they got that by getting involved.
Yeah.
You have to raise your hand
Yeah.
and come to our booth and find out more about us and join us on Workplace and get plugged in. This could be your platform that
100%.
moves you to the next level at this company.
And I mean, you could be nervous. You could be feeling a certain type of way about public speaking, like me personally. I'm cool with being in the background, but you really break out of your shell and you get to meet different people and you get to talk about different things. And like, that's been amazing for me to just speak my truth and actually have a voice.
Yeah,
Because I'm so used to not talking and not having a voice.
it's so true.
I just love it. I love this job that I do.
What else we got? Can I suggest a topic or a guest for CultureCast? Yes, you can.
You definitely can.
Yes, you can.
You
Reach out
definitely
to
can.
us on Workplace, and we can get your topic or your guest on. We can do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Just come on with those. That's a simple yes.
And then the next, what do you hope is the legacy of CultureCast? If you're asking me, I'm a very creative person if you haven't met me, and I'm always thinking how we can make everything more look better than the things that I see in the world. So like if I watch a podcast or something on YouTube, I'm like, I could do that better than they did. I can do this better than they did. That's who I am, and I'm always in competition with myself. So you might see a commercial for CultureCast on PBS one day.
Yeah. Listen, we feature a lot of voices on here that we're giving a platform to that we really love, and I hope more than anything that our guests feel like they were heard.
Yeah, 100%,
right?
100%.
And I want people to take from this the experience of learning about people from different backgrounds and be able to apply that to their careers and their lives to better themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's what this is about. This
Yeah.
is about betterment by learning from each other.
Yeah, and it's also, what I've learned is it breaks you out of, if you feel that you're in a shell and you don't feel like this, because we work majorly online, and then when we get in IRL, we get to meet each other, but it breaks you out of your shell. You get to meet different people, and you get to discuss things that you probably won't get to discuss maybe in your hometown. Maybe your hometown doesn't have a Black EXP anything, or you know what I mean? You can't talk about Black issues, or you can't talk about Latino issues, but with this group, like, you can do that and you can have a voice. So speak up and show out.
And this is your way to connect with your tribe, and you can really learn something. And I would tell everybody, don't just listen to the episodes that are by people that are from your background.
Listen to all of them.
I mean, if you're a straight, white, cisgendered man, listening to the Wage Gap podcast is still important.
Yeah.
There's still something you can learn from how someone else struggled and how you can be that ally, that voice in the room that weaponizes their privilege to benefit those people so that
100%.
they don't have to go through that in the next generation.
Yeah.
That could be you. You could be the person that makes that difference for them.
Yeah. And like how we end every episode, find your tribe. That's
Find
how
your
we
tribe.
we end every episode. That's
Find
what
your
all of
tribe.
our guests have been saying thus far. And it's very, very true. Find where you fit in. I mean, even if you're not Black, even if you're not Latino, find your tribe. You don't have to be that.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
All right. We're going to call this episode. I thank you guys so much for coming on this weird little live episode journey with us. First time. And thank you for all you do. And
For sure.
we hope you'll stick with us and check out more episodes of the CultureCast in the future. Thank you so much. And we will see you next time.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of CultureCast. If you have time, please be sure to scan the QR code on screen now to leave us a review on Glassdoor. See you next time.